Learn, Speak, English, the podcast.
Imagine this. You are in a high-stakes meeting. It's you, your boss, and two potential clients from London. The presentation is going well. The numbers look good. Then, one of the clients makes a suggestion about the timeline. It's a bad idea. You know it's a bad idea. You want to save the project. So, being the honest, efficient professional you are, you look at him and say, "No, that is wrong. We cannot do that." Suddenly, the room goes cold. The boss shifts in his chair. The client stops smiling. You didn't use a swear word. Your grammar was perfect. But you just committed a business English taboo. You just killed the vibe and possibly the deal. So what went wrong? In this episode, we'll break down why certain phrases and attitudes can sabotage your professional relationships and how to navigate the tricky waters of business communication. Stay tuned to learn how to avoid these pitfalls and sound like a true pro. Ready to sharpen your business English? Let's dive in. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Learn, Speak English podcast. I'm Ryan, your English coach from the United States. Today, we aren't just learning words. We are learning survival skills. We are tackling a silent career killer that I see high-level professionals make all the time. It's not about vocabulary. It's about psychology. It's about how to disagree without making enemies. If you ever felt like people shut down when you give feedback, or if you feel like you're hitting a glass ceiling in your international career, this episode is the key to unlocking that next level. Before we get into the phrases, we need to understand the why. Human beings, especially in the US and UK business culture, have a hidden desire to feel respected and validated, even when they're wrong. In many cultures, maybe yours, saying, "No, that's wrong," is seen as efficient. It's honest. It saves time. But in an English-speaking business context, efficiency without diplomacy is viewed as aggression. When you attack an idea directly, the native speaker's brain interprets it as an attack on their identity. They go into defense mode. And once they're defensive, they stop listening to your brilliant ideas. So, today is about shifting your mindset. We are moving from brutal honesty to strategic diplomacy. This is how you win arguments and keep your friends. Hold on. Before we keep going, I want to hear from you. Take a quick pause, scroll down the comment section, and drop the word diplomacy if you've ever felt awkward in a meeting because you weren't sure how to say no politely. Just type diplomacy to let me know you're ready to level up your communication skills and master this important aspect of business English today. All right, now let's take a closer look at a real-world example. I'm going to play a recording of a meeting between Alex, a talented project manager who's a non-native English speaker, and Sarah, a marketing director from New York. But this isn't just about the word they're saying. It's about the bigger picture. I want you to pay close attention to how the conversation feels. How do the speakers communicate beyond just what's being said? What's the tone? What are the unspoken cues and emotions behind their words? In business, especially when English isn't your first language, it's not just about getting the right vocabulary or grammar. It's about reading the room, understanding cultural subtleties, and using diplomacy to navigate tricky situations. This is what can make or break professional relationships. And in this example, we're going to see exactly how it plays out. So, listen closely, because the way Alex and Sarah interact could give you valuable insights into how you can handle similar situations in your own business meetings. Just type diplomacy to let me know you're ready to level up your communication skills and master this important aspect of business English today.
So based on the user data, I really feel we should launch the marketing campaign this Friday. Gives us the weekend traction.
No, that is a mistake. Nobody reads emails on Fridays. We must wait until Monday.
Well, Alex, looking at my data, Friday works fine. But if you're going to be rigid about it, I guess we can talk later.
Ouch! Did you feel that temperature drop in the room? Yeah, that was uncomfortable. Let's slow this down and look at what actually happened. Alex was probably right. The data likely does support launching on Monday. But the moment he broke the room's unspoken social rules, he lost credibility. And a big reason why was how direct his language was. He used very strong, absolute words. He started with no. He called the idea a mistake. And then he said they must wait until Monday. Now, from Alex's perspective, he was just being clear and efficient. But from Sarah's side of the table, she didn't hear. Monday might be a better option. What she heard was something closer to, you're wrong, and there's no room for discussion. And once someone feels shut down like that, even unintentionally, they stop listening. This is the real pain point we need to fix. In business, you don't want to be the person who's right, but creates resistance. You want to be the leader who guides a conversation, keeps people engaged, and helps the team arrive at the right decision together. So how we fix this? We use what are called hedges or softeners. Think of them like the shock absorbers in a car. They smooth out the bumps so the ride is comfortable for everyone. Instead of saying things in a super direct way, like Alex did with words like no, mistake, and must, we're going to guide the conversation more gently. We're not going to tell people they're wrong. We're going to help them see it for themselves without bruising anyone's ego. And here's the best part. I'm going to give you the 5 golden phrases you need to write down and start using right away. Okay, let's start with the first one. I like to call this one the validation bridge. Instead of jumping straight into disagreement, try this. Start by showing that you understand where the other person is coming from. A simple phrase you can use is, I see where you're coming from, but why does this work? Because it's all about respect. You're giving them a little nod, showing you get their point. And when you do that, people are way more likely to actually listen to what you have to say. Think of it like building a little bridge before you cross over to your own idea. All right, let's look at the next one. This one I like to call the honest softener. Instead of just saying a blunt no, you can gently bridge into your own opinion. A simple phrase you can use is, to be honest, I have some concerns. Why does this work? Well, the word concerns is much softer than saying objections or that's wrong. It makes it clear that you're worried about the project, not that you're attacking the person. You're basically saying, I care about this working well, and I want to make sure we get right, without triggering defensiveness. Okay, moving on to the next one. This one's called the uncertainty tactic. The idea is simple. Never say something is definitely bad. Instead, show a little uncertainty. A phrase you can use is, I'm not quite sure that's the best approach. Why does this work? Because it's a classic fly under the radar move. You're not shutting anyone down. You're inviting them to explain their thinking, to convince you. It lowers their defenses and keeps the conversation collaborative. Suddenly, it's not about winning or losing. It's about solving the problem together. All right, let's move on to phrase 4. I like to call this one the modal magic. The key here is to avoid words like must, have to, or need to. Instead, use modal verbs. For example, you can say, it might be better to, or we could consider. Why does this work? Because modals give people a sense of choice. And let's be honest, everyone loves feeling like they have a choice. It makes them feel in control, even though you're still gently guiding the outcome. It's a subtle but super powerful way to lead without triggering defensiveness. All right, now for the last one. Phrase 5. I call this one the question flip. The idea is simple. Instead of making a statement, turn it into a question. For example, you could say, how he thought about the impact of, why does this work? Because it switches the brain into problem-solving mode instead of defense mode. People naturally start thinking about solutions rather than feeling attacked. It's an easy way to guide the conversation and get them on your side without ever having to say, you're wrong. Okay, we're back in the meeting room. Same scenario. Sarah wants to launch on Friday. Alex is thinking Monday. But this time, Alex has been paying attention. He's using the techniques we just covered. Listen closely to how he guides Sarah toward his point of view without ever having to say the word, no.
So, based on the user data, I really feel we should launch the marketing campaign this Friday. Gives us the weekend traction.
I see where you're coming from, Sarah. Getting weekend traction sounds great. However, to be honest, I have some concerns about the open rates.
What kind of concerns?
Well, I'm not quite sure if our B2B clients check their email on Friday afternoons. In my experience, they check out early. It might be better to launch Monday morning when they are fresh at their desks. What do you think?
That's a good point. I didn't think about the B2B angle. Okay, let's look at Monday.
Did you hear that? That was a win. Let's break it down. First, validation. I see where you're coming from. He acknowledges her logic about weekend traction. Then comes the pivot. However, to be honest, I do have a few concerns. He introduces the issue gently, without pushing. Next is authority and experience. In my experience, that adds weight to what he's saying. Then the suggestion, it might be better to... He's not forcing anything, just offering an option. And finally, the consistency question. What do you think? He invites her in and gets her buy-in. The result? Sarah felt heard. She didn't lose face. And Alex got exactly what he wanted. That's a win-win. I want you to try this right now. Think about the last time you had a disagreement at work. Maybe it was about a deadline, a budget, or even where to go for lunch. Now, in your head, replay that conversation. But this time, start with, I see where you're coming from. And if you're feeling brave, do this. Pause the episode and record a quick voice memo on your phone, just practicing that phrase. Go ahead. I see where you're coming from. Say it out loud. Hear yourself sound calm, reasonable, diplomatic. Now, I need to give you a quick warning. The words themselves are only about 50% of persuasion. The other 50% is how you say them. If you say, I see where you're coming from, with a flat, robotic voice, it doesn't land. It can even sound sarcastic, like you don't really mean it. To actually connect, everything has to line up. Your tone has to match your intention. When you say, I have some concerns, your voice should drop just a bit. It should sound thoughtful, a little concerned. You're acting just a little. You're showing empathy. Let's try a quick exercise. Imagine you're talking to a friend who's about to make a mistake. You care about them. You're not angry. You're worried. Now say, I'm not quite sure that's a good idea. Make it sound like you're helping them, not judging them. I'm not quite sure that's a good idea. Hear the difference? I'll give you a few seconds to repeat it one more time with the right intention. So the phrase works perfectly. I'm not quite sure that's a good idea. That's what we're going for. Helpful colleague, not strict teacher. We are going to put this into muscle memory. We are going to do intensive shadowing. I'm going to play the role of the diplomat. You are going to repeat after me. I want you to focus on the melody of my voice, the ups and downs, the softness. Remember to repeat after each phrase. I'll give you some time to repeat, but if you need it, pause the episode and take all the time you need to practice. Do the repetitions out loud, in front of a mirror. Record yourself or practice with a friend to build your confidence with the language faster. Ready? Let's get started. All right. Phrase 1. Repeat after me. I see where you're coming from. I see where you're coming from. Phrase 2. Notice the pause after honest. But to be honest, I have some concerns. But to be honest, I have some concerns. Phrase 3. Might sound like a gentle suggestion. It might be better to wait until Monday. It might be better to wait until Monday. Phrase 4. The closer. What do you think? By repeating this, you're literally rewiring your brain. So the next time you're in a stressful meeting, these phrases will come out automatically because you've practiced them. You're building consistency. Before we wrap up, I want to share one advanced tip. It comes from the psychology of influence, and it's called the yes set. Here's the idea. If you know you're going to disagree with someone, try to get them to say yes to a small point first before introducing your concern. For example, instead of saying, "We need to change the budget," you could start by asking a couple questions they are likely to agree with. First, we both want this project to succeed, right? Pause, let them agree. Second, cutting unnecessary costs makes sense? Pause again for agreement. Now, after these small yes, it's easier to introduce the concern. So, honestly, I do have some concerns about the current budget. Because they've already agreed twice, their brain is naturally set up to stay consistent. They're more likely to listen and agree. It's a simple trick, but very powerful. Use it wisely. Okay, pop quiz time. I'm going to give a taboo sentence, a blunt, super direct sentence that I hear learners use all the time. Your job is to mentally fix it using the tools we just practiced. Here's a scenario. The boss suggests a meeting at 6 p.m., but you really want to go home. The taboo sentence most people say is, "I cannot meet. It is too late." Sounds familiar, right? It's too direct. It can come across like you don't care about the job. So how we fix it? Using, "I see where you're coming from," might feel a little weird here, but we can try something else, the uncertainty or modal tactic. Basically, you soften the statement to make it sound polite and collaborative without losing your point. Instead of shutting it down, you introduce your concern gently, giving the other person room to agree with you. So, did you come up with something? Here's a great example of how to handle it. I'd love to join, but to be honest, 6 p.m. is a bit difficult for me today. It might be better to meet tomorrow morning when we have more time. Would that work? See how that works? You're protecting your time. That's your personal desire. But at the same time, you're showing commitment to the meeting, which shows your work ethic. And notice you didn't just say no. You offered a solution, a better alternative. That's how a pro handles these situations, politely, firmly, and constructively. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. I can practically hear in your head. But Ryan, I don't have time for all these extra words. I just want to be quick. I get it, I really do. But think about it like this. How much time does it take to clean up a mess after accidentally offending a client? Or even worse, how much time would it take to find a new job over a simple misunderstanding? Using these little softeners, just a few extra words, adds maybe 3 seconds to what you say. 3 seconds. That's it. And yet, those 3 seconds can save you hours of conflict later. It's the smallest effort with the biggest return. You're doing amazing by even practicing this. Keep it up, because every time you use these phrases, you're building confidence, protecting your time, and growing your professional reputation. Stick with it. This is exactly how you reach your goals. We've covered a lot today, So let's quickly recap the essentials. This way, you can walk into your next meeting with confidence. First, avoid the taboo. Never just say no or you are wrong. That instantly triggers the brain's defense mechanism. Next, validate first. Always build a bridge. I see where you're coming from. Then, use softeners. Phrases like to be honest, I have concerns, or it might be better. And don't forget, tone matters. Match your voice to the emotion. Be the helpful colleague, not the critic. Think of the script we built today like planting a seed. You gently plant the idea of your opinion. Water it with validation, and then let the other person grow into the conclusion that your way is the best way. Now, I have a small favor to ask. I create these episodes to help you win at work. If you found value here, even if it's just one phrase you're going to use, please subscribe to the show. It really helps us grow. I'm Ryan. Go out there, be diplomatic, and speak English like a leader. Catch you later.